Why is the Torah written the way it is? Why isn't it just a listing or spreadsheet of laws? Why are the laws not categorized in the books of the Torah, and why are they spread out and seemingly disjointed? Why isn't science, biology, and all other disciplines just laid out and given to us? Why do we have to conduct research and dig for all of the answers to life? Why doesn't God just give it all over to us? The process of working for and discovering answers goes to the deepest levels of our psyche. It makes us feel ownership when we discover a truth, and it invigorates our being. Our rabbis famously said, a person wants one loaf of their bread as opposed to 9 of their friends. When we come up with a thought or have an aha moment, the knowledge or realization becomes ours. These dynamics come into play in how we live our lives. We constantly grow and evolve our ideas as to what is right and good for us. We develop and evolve our level of spirituality. Because no one is born whole or completely developed, we must go through the travails of life to achieve growth. Today, I discovered something that in all my years I've never noticed before. In this week's Torah portion, the Torah once again instructs us on how to care for animals. And this is what I noticed. The Torah does something most unusual. In the book of Shemot, it tells us about the animal of a neighbor whom you do not like, which is lost or struggling under its load. In the book of Dvarim, in this week's portion of Kitaitzei, the Torah specifies how we should care for your brothers, that's somebody who you like, their ox or sheep, as well as caring for animals of someone you do not even know. Why does the Torah list all of these various relationships with the animal owners, people we like, dislike, or we don't know? I believe God is saying in His Torah that it does not matter to whom an animal belongs. It is ultimately one of His creations, and we must care for it. In other words, it is entirely irrelevant to whom it belongs. Our feelings towards the animal's owner has no bearings on our relationship to the animal. We must care for animals and not have them suffer, even if it is an enemy's animal. We can't know everything or be completely righteous all at once. We gradually grow and become more wholesome. Moreover, even if we keep the mitzvot of Shabbat and Kashrut, we may not be aware of the entire rationale for why we do these things. Fuller knowledge comes through doing. As we said at Mount Sinai, we will do and we will listen, na'aseh v'nishma. It is through the performance that we gain understanding. And sometimes, before we do the right thing, we need others to alert us as to what is correct and godly. Now, I say this with my deepest conviction ever. Consuming and partaking in animal products is almost certainly prohibited by God's Torah. People today are highly conscious to not consume bugs, yet they willingly turn a blind eye to the continuous and rampant brutality in the meat industry. Bugs carry with them 3 demerits, or sins, when consumed. There are over 20 laws in the Torah concerning animal welfare, broken every day and at almost every moment. We are not even considering how animals are slaughtered because massive questions regarding the questionable status of their kashrus of the slaughtering process need to be answered. In our age, it is difficult to think of a specific example of outrage because on one hand, we are beckoned to express outrage at many things, and indeed many outrageous things have happened in the past year. As a result, we are overstimulated in our outrage. But imagine how the victims of Bernie Madoff felt, violated, robbed, and duped. When he smiled at them and provided them with false reports, he was robbing and harming them and their loved ones. The lies of the meat industry are far worse. They are destroying our planet, making scores of people sick, bankrupting our country, and destroying the planet. God's law is holistic. By this I mean it leads to health and good life. Violating God's law leads to destruction and death. Every new medical report clearly and overwhelmingly show how consumption of animal protein, meat, fish, dairy, and eggs stress the body and initiates and raises IGF-1, the first step leading to cancer. God says to us in Shema, "If you listen to me, good things will happen. When you don't, the reverse is true." Consuming products of the meat and dairy industry is, in my view, and the view of a growing group of Orthodox rabbis, strictly prohibited because of the numerous violations of Torah law. It is incumbent upon all of us to be aware of the shameful and pathetic behavior in the meat industry and to speak out against it, and at the very least not enable it by purchasing their products. As we come closer to the high holidays, we must attempt to be more complete and wholesome. We cannot do so if we knowingly ignore so many of God's laws. Remember, bugs are only 3 laws broken. There are more than 20 laws concerning our treatment of animals. How many times does it say in the Torah, love your neighbor as yourself? And you know how carefully we treat that. Imagine if it was written 20 times. This past Shabbat we read in the Torah, seek justice and be pure. We do neither when we continue as usual to conduct ourselves without inspecting our ways. This is Rabbi Donn Gross.